Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are checking out another brand new Mattel Jurassic World Rebirth release. This time we have the Ultimate Mosasaurus. We've got another of the Micro Adventures sets, and this one is much larger than the last ones were. You can see that we basically got like a Mosasaurus coming up out of the water, and then the inside of the mouth is the actual set itself. And then up here you've got a whole bunch of minis, which we can see, or micro figures, however you'd like to term those. So that's going to be really cool, including the D-Rex, which is finally included here. And then if we turn it around and take a look at the back, you can basically see again a kind of like a little advertisement for the other two figures in the set, and then a sneak peek of everything included in this set. So let's pop this open and check it out. So here is our Mosasaurus head now out of the package, and we've also got all of these little micro dinos and stuff in here. So we're going to actually go ahead and begin taking a look at this set by taking a look at the little micro figures. So first of all, we have the Quetzalcoatlus back again. You can see that we've got kind of like a flying Quetzalcoatlus here. I don't quite remember if it is the exact same version we had seen in the earlier sets. So bringing it in, you can see it is in fact the same Quetzalcoatlus, because this is the one from the T-Rex set, this is the one from the new set. So no differences, it seems. Maybe a slightly different shade of blue. The older one seems to have a lighter shade of blue, whereas this one has a little bit of a darker blue. But that's pretty much it as far as the difference goes between those two. But we do have some other really cool figures, like a Mosasaurus, which again is nothing really spectacular, not much in the way of paintwork, and even the actual fine detail is really quite muted overall. But again, it does have a pretty decent resemblance to the Rebirth version of the Mosasaurus. Then we've also got a Titanosaurus, which we did not have previously in these micro figures. You can see it's standing basically on like a nice kind of rocky area. The sculpt definitely looks really cool. We've got a darker tone starting there in the head, moving back and then beginning to break up as you move back into the body. And then we have a gray for the rest of the body. Not a whole lot else going on with it, but it does look super cool and is probably one of the nicer of these micro figures. Then we've got ourselves as well a helicopter, which again doesn't sport a whole lot when it comes to fine detail. Let's see if this does move. I don't think it does. Doesn't seem like it does. So not really a whole lot going on, not really much in the way of playability with the helicopter. We as well have a Spino, which is a swimming Spinosaurus, and you can see that does look pretty cool. We have the yellow stripes moving in from the top, and this one actually is a really dark tone, and I can't say for sure, but if you have not seen... See, I don't know if I want to mention this actually. If you know, again, if you've seen Rebirth, there's a point where you see one of the Spinos looking really dark, and I feel like maybe that's what this one is. Seemed like it was almost like a blackish coloration. I won't see much more than that, but this one does kind of look like that. Could be that Spino, because it does have a much darker skin tone than a lot of the other Spinos that we've seen from Mattel. But it is a really cool looking, again, swimming Spino. And then the final one is the D-Rex, and this one actually has like a little clear underside to it, but then you've got the D-Rex up here, again looking pretty darn cool. Definitely nicely sculpted. You have a nice brown coloration moving over the back, and then a yellowish tone, kind of like a yellowish brown for the rest of the body color, kind of just walking along, almost looking like the larger Mattel D-Rex, just massively shrunken down in size, but still sporting a lot of impressive detail throughout. So that does look super cool as well. Then we've got the Mosasaurus itself, and you can see again the skin texture looks really nice overall as you move through. You've got lots of really kind of bumpy scales and then smoothed out areas with just kind of creasing and stuff. As we move up to the top of the head, we've got the nostrils up here. You start to pick up some of those kind of osteoderms as you move back here into the head and then back into the neck. You have some greens kind of picking up here on the side, kind of striping up into the side of the face. You as well have a yellow for the eye, and then a nice black pupil. Very dark tone of color for the front part of the head, and then a lighter tone for the lower jaw as you move along. We can see all of the teeth looking really cool, and since they are a bit more flexible, they do have a really nice, genuine, sharp look to them, which is a huge plus, kind of painted with like a light yellowish tone. And then you have, of course, the water underneath, which does have a nice sort of translucent look to it, but of course a nice bluish tone as well, which makes the entire Mosasaurus look super cool in its own right, even without the actual micro playset aspect itself. But then First of all, as we can hear, we have some noises when we open it up, but you can, of course, open it and see everything contained within, which does look pretty cool. There's definitely quite a bit to it. One thing I see here is a raptor, which you can close that right there. And then, do we push this? Yes. Okay, so we've even got a raptor noise. So once you push that button, the raptor pops out, and you can see the raptor itself. Looks pretty cool. The eye is not placed very well. Painted with like a reddish brown, but obviously has that kind of look of like a lunging raptor out of that chamber that it's in. And that is all kind of overgrown with like vines and stuff, which is painted out. And then you have like a translucent sort of like an orangish tone. I don't know what one that was, but I did something. But once we push this, you can again see the raptor pops out, which does look really cool. Then, of course, over here you can see more of the vines and stuff. Quite a bit of paintwork throughout. As you do move up, we're going to actually move the camera itself up. You can see we have what looks to be the kind of cliff side for the Quetzalcoatlus, which is pretty cool. Kind of similar to what we had seen with the T-Rex set, but this is a lot more, I wouldn't say perfectly screen accurate, but this definitely looks a lot closer to the area we see them in the Quetzalcoatlus in Rebirth. But as you move up, you do have a little area you can pull out, which does have the nest of the Quetzalcoatlus. We can see the eggs and then a little bit of greenery there around the eggs, which is pretty cool. I don't know if it's hard to tell what exactly is interactive with this and what isn't. It looks as though we do have kind of like a little area here on the side with pegs where you can attach figures. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Quetzalcoatlus on there. And now you can basically take your Quetzalcoatlus up and then have it fly all the way up. It's kind of getting stuck, but you can turn it, as you can see, and then have it kind of fly all over the place. I assume that's the idea behind that. Then you've got also another peg here for a different figure. But as you move down, we then have the nice sort of ocean area here where we can see the sails of some of the Spinosaurus. We actually have two different versions of the Spino down here. Let's actually push that up. But you can see we have the one that has the kind of stripes running along the sail, and then the other one that has more of a yellow sail with kind of lighter dark stripes that move along. We have a really beautiful translucent blue for the water, and then inside that we actually have the ship, and as you can see the ship is kind of broken, but we can pull it back up, and then down there underneath you can see, first of all, a little area for the sound, but I don't know, maybe that's more of like the broken ship. We can also see what looks to be maybe like some bones and stuff down there. My camera's like losing focus on it. But it does look really cool. Also has a really nice bluish look down there as well. And then the boat up here, which is the boat we do see in Rebirth, which is kind of broken right now. And then you can see leading back, we've got the Spinos basically pursuing that boat. And then we can push this down. Very watery noises. I think maybe that's the Mosasaurus. So that sounds like the D-Rex escaping. And I guess the boat crashing? Don't really know for sure. But as you can see, there's quite a few different noises. Oh, we got some more. Another thing that's really cool is you can connect the ship, then you press this little button, and then the ship is basically broken. I also noticed that you can turn, so that I can basically turn in the water, and you can also open this one somehow. Do I have it like locked in right now? So yeah, there we go. So basically, once you turn this over here, it locks it. When you turn it over here, it opens it, and then you can open this little kind of like compartment area. It's going to make a noise again, where you basically can lift the water up, and then if you want, I guess you could technically hide the Mosasaurus down in here, or the Spino, or something like that, which is pretty cool as well. Also, the Quetzalcoatlus is one figure that's supposed to be up here, but you also have the helicopter, and as it states on the package, you're supposed to protect the eggs, I guess, and obviously that would be including the helicopter and Quetzalcoatlus. So some pretty fun play as far as that goes. But overall, again, it's definitely a really neat set. I really love these micro play sets. As I've mentioned in the past with the other reviews, they very much so remind me of the old Trendmaster sets, like the old Godzilla play sets. They're so similar to that, but with a very obvious Jurassic World style now, as opposed to Godzilla. And then basically you've got all of these other figures, and I just pushed the button again, but according to the packaging, we are supposed to put them pretty much wherever you want, but as you can see, as far as what the packaging basically tells us to do, we've got the Spino here, the Moses sitting over there, the D-Rex back there, the Titanosaurus, and then of course the helicopter and Quetzalcoatlus. Now, there's not much that we're really going to need to do, I think, as far as a size goes. I guess we could technically get, like, when it's open, as far as a height, you can't see it currently, but it's about 9 inches tall, or around 23 centimeters, and if we go from the back to the lower jaw here, as it keeps trying to move away, you're looking at about 10.5 inches, maybe slightly more, or around 26.5, closing in on 27 centimeters. But I think we'll do a size comparison that probably would help you the best. So there we go. We have Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day Human Being next to the Mosasaurus set, showing you that, again, it is quite large. And for another comparison, there is the T-Rex Micro set, and you can see again that obviously the Mosasaurus is much, much larger than the T-Rex, which is, again, pretty cool to see the Mosa being gigantic like this. And then one final comparison, we have the Micro Adventures Mosasaurus playset next to the Super Colossal Mosasaurus, showing you that the head sculpt here is actually kind of similar in size to the Super Colossal Mosasaurus. So again, another super cool playset from Mattel for Jurassic World Rebirth. This Mosasaurus set is honestly really, really neat, and I am keeping my fingers crossed for sure that we get more of these. I really hope there's like a wave 2 so that we can get more of these figures, again, these Micro Adventures playsets, into our collection. You know, you've got many other species you could create in this style, but the Mosasaurus really is quite neat because it is so large, much larger than any of the others we've had before. The actual sculpt of the Mosasaurus is fantastic, as pretty much per usual when it comes to Mattel. I also love the overall view of it kind of, you know, jumping up out of the water, which is really neat. And then the inside, again, is really neat as well, sporting so many different figures this time, more than any of the other play sets have had leading up to this. We also have the D-Rex and Titanosaurus finally in the micro sets, which is really cool. But again, there's quite a bit of playability with this one, more so than the others, as well as noises, which is really fun to actually have some sound effects included in this set. So if you are interested, I will include a link in the description to where you can purchase it on Amazon.com. The last time I checked, it wasn't in stock, but just keep an eye out on the link. It should pop up very soon. And of course, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.